Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome back to Red's Homestead.
Whoa.
It is hot. It is very hot. And what I want to do is I want to talk about what we do with all of our animals when it's hot like this. His eyes are burning. It's that hot. Thank you. So, first we're going to start with the rabbits. And I've done a video like this before, but it's always good to kind of see the new methods that we're doing and just to revamp some of the old ones. Now the first step with the rabbits, and it's the same with every single animal, the crucial component of water. You have to make sure they have fresh, clean water, morning and night. And I typically do all the animal chores a little bit earlier in the day when it's really hot like this. Normally I'll do them 4:30, 5 o'clock, but when it's really hot like this, we want to check the waters earlier and also switch out something I'm going to show you. I know, right?
That's how they're gonna stay cool.
So fresh water's now complete. Now our secret component, frozen water bottles. This lets them have like an air conditioning out almost to where they can lay next to this, cool down their body temperature if they're feeling too hot up here.
Homemade air conditioning. That's exactly what it is.
And what we'll do is we'll have one out here in the cages and then some in the freezer that we can switch out. And your second tip for the rabbits that are in cages is we have a fan blowing on them all day. Normally we get a nice breeze in here, but sometimes, like right now, not much movement in the air. So we make sure that fan's going and gives them a nice cool breeze. Now for the rabbits down here, we usually don't have to give them a water bottle. I don't have to give them a fan. They do have a better breeze down here than the rabbits in the cages do. But we make sure we move them every day. This time of the year especially, they do like to dig. They dig because it's a lot cooler in the ground. And then you can see she'll just stretch her whole body out across the ground, and that keeps her body nice and cool.
How hot is it out here?
Downside about having them out here, actually only one rabbit really does. The other two don't dig that much, but you'll be left with little holes you can see of where we moved them. We just have to fill them in with a little bit of dirt, but
It looks like just a giant footstep.
yeah, homies, if you look at it, it's about the size of her body, and she just lays in there and stays.
It's like the size of my foot.
Oh yeah, it is about the size of your shoe, yeah. And then sticking with the component of water, we also have a big bucket up here full of water for when the chickens, ducks come on this side of the property. They have another water source close by. As for the chickens, the ducks, and the turkeys, again, it's water. I have multiple water sources. We have this one large that we use for like the meat chickens. I bring that out because we have some chicks actually that had a hard time getting into the big pools and buckets, so we put that out for them. And then we have two pools that we fill and try to keep clean every day, because during this heat, that water actually gets very warm, and then with the sunlight, it'll grow vegetation inside of it, algae inside of it really fast. And that bucket I try to keep over there in the corner because that stays shaded, so the water will stay cooler and not heat up with the sun. Now both pools are nice and clean and ready for the animals. A few reasons why we do the big pools like that. One is the turkeys. The turkeys like to stand inside of it. We'll probably see them inside of it before the end of the video. They like to stand there and it cools off their feet and eventually cools off their internal body temperature. The chickens don't do that as much, but the turkeys will all the time. Also, we have ducks, and the ducks like to do their baths in there. Another special treat that I give to the chickens are these. This is frozen cucumbers, overripe cucumbers that we missed on the vine, and they overripened so they wouldn't be too good for us. Slice them up, put them on a tray into the freezer, and then toss them in a baggie once they're frozen. And I throw them in their waters on the ground. It's freezing cold, so internally again, it helps cool them off. And as far as the environment goes, depending on how you store your chickens, ours are free ranged over about half the property. They have access to anything they need. But if yours are more isolated, you have to have two things very specific at this time of the year. Shade. They need to have shade, access to it all day long if it gets this hot. And second, they need a place for dust baths. Ours kind of go right through here, and they'll make their own dust baths, or in the barn or side of the house, whatever. They'll find a spot that makes a very good dust bath, so they need access to some kind of like clean, loose dirt that they can stir up. So lastly, for the chickens, we have these 5 new chicks that Shannon got while we were on vacation. Just have to check their waters since it's a lot smaller, and they're also going to get a couple treats too. And the last of the animals that need a little bit of attention are the goats, who are all hanging out by that back door. And they seem to do the best in the heat. I mean, they hang around in the shade, but they don't seem overheated like the chickens do. Oh, look, there's the ducks. Wondering where they are. But something we haven't shown yet is we finally have our trio of goats here on the property. We have Padme, which is the biggest one, and Luke and Leia, which are the 2 siblings. If you get a theme that we're going on there. We won't be breeding them. We're actually going to have to band Luke pretty soon here because obviously we don't want a mating sisters. So yeah, we got our goats. And for the goats, really, it's just water. Just give them water. Give them fresh, clean water. So they don't like anything that's dirty. What we actually do is we set it up top of here so the ducks can't come in and they make water dirty real fast. And here's a tidbit of information that most people should know, but in case you don't, let's say you keep your hose pressurized with one of these nozzles here on the top, and then you turn the water off. Well, water stays inside the hose all day long. If you turn this on, it's going to be very hot water, so you got to run it through, wait for all the water that was in the hose that heated up in the sun to to get access to the cold water coming from our well. Now we feed them in 2 separate bowls, which is not working at all as intended right now, because the new one, Mr. Luke there, he was getting pushed around a little bit and couldn't get access to the food for a while. And so we had 2, so it acts just like it is right now. Luke can get to 1, while Padme and Leia, the ones that were here for a few weeks before, they can access the other. And we did it for a reason. We tiered getting the goats one at a time for a reason. We wanted them to bond with us versus bonding with just each other. So we got Padme first, Padme for about 2 weeks, and she bonded with us. And then we got her daughter, I think is, no, they're half, so yeah, they're half sisters and brothers. Same mom, 2 different dads. So we got Leia after that, and bonded with her after a couple weeks. And then once those 2 were good, then we got Luke, and we are just about bonded with him. We have found the best thing to bond with a goat is fist bump them. No food.
Epic fail, by the way.
I was gonna try to demonstrate it to you, but they're too busy with their food. Basically, hold your fist out, they bump their head on it. I don't know, then they are like bonded with you. At least that happened with us. Hopefully we're not teaching them bad things of like ramming you, but no issues so far. And there's still like 4 hours of daylight left, but since usually the goats are down there with the chickens while I'm feeding and taking care of the chickens, so I usually don't do the goats until later. Actually, Shannon usually does it when she gets home at like 5:30-ish, but they were already in there, so I figured, hey, I can go ahead and do it now, close them up. And we let them out at 6 o'clock in the morning, so they have plenty of time outside. The last thing I want to talk about, are the dogs. So these dogs, especially the Great Pyrenees breed, they are not built for heat. During the winter, they will never want to come inside. But during the heat of the summer, they don't want to stay outside. Usually, 20 minutes and they're ready to go inside. We usually force them at least an hour or so to get that energy out of them, but they don't like the heat. What we do to help them, we have a pool right here specifically for the dogs. They jump in, dunk themselves, get themselves wet, lowers their body temperature, and it's a place they can drink out of as well. It's this guy's favorite spot. Nice, cool breeze, cool dirt. Dug herself a little hole down there. Are you happy on a hot day, girly? And you get to keep your eye on the chickens. Look who decided to come back. We haven't seen you in a couple of years. It's our little peacock friend. Last time we saw him, Wally scared him away. Come back. No, come back this afternoon. I'm waiting for Wally to see it. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Wally! Come on. Oh boy. Wally! And that's about it as far as the heat goes for your animals. Biggest #1 component, check those waters every day and don't let it be nasty stagnant water, because that can grow algae and it's get warm in the sun. If you have it out in the sun, it's not going to be cold for them anymore. But water, super important. And then if you have a way to do some kind of frozen item, like for us, we have a freezer in our garage, which is only a few steps away. We can freeze 2-liter water bottles, freeze veggies, and just little things like that that can help lower their body temperature. And then shade and airflow, both things to keep the temperature down from where they are. And then our garden. Listen, our garden is jamming, still jamming. So we did lose the zucchinis to vine borers. Next year, I'm gonna, I say this every year, but next year I am going to do this. I am going to take BT and inject it into the stem of the plant, which is supposed to stop them. You can see right now the weeds are just gotten out of control, but everything is still producing extremely well. Now that it's had consistent heat, the peppers are finally starting to show a lot of growth. Tomatoes have been jamming all day. The cucumbers, I'm about done with cucumbers. We've already done 12 to 15 cans of pickles. I froze a dozen of those cucumbers that were overripe. I see a whole bunch right now that I can harvest. We'll see how many pickles I want. And then we have our little watermelon patch. Our watermelon patch has overtaken this entire bed, which was the plan. And then at the bottom we have our cantaloupe, which hasn't started forming anything yet, but we do have quite a few watermelons already coming up. So yeah, as you can see, a major need for weeding in this garden. And the raspberries and blackberries, as you can see, they are on their last leg. I mean, they do still have some blackberries growing on them. But once the plant starts dying, or this growth starts dying, they're not really as sweet as they are in the beginning. They're a little bitter. So I still collect them and they'll be animal treats, but we're about done growing. And as well in our front garden, the potatoes are ready to be harvested. We just keeping them in the ground just to preserve them a little bit longer. Have tons of carrots we've already pulled up. We're pulling them up as we need them. Usually I'll have it in a salad, but mostly I grow these for chicken broth. But I have a whole half a bed down here that's just full of them. A whole bed right there that's full of them. I just have tons. And then our grapes, we're just waiting for our grapes to turn ripe so that we can start picking them. But we've got a few bushels growing on the vines. I'm going inside. I'm very hot. I've got my harvest for the day. Catch you guys later.